I saw Elsie Mitchell the other day, and you'll never guess who she married.
The meanest, ugliest bulldog.
Goes to prove my basic premise. These are strange times we live in. Did you hear about Elsie Mitchell?
Dr. Metcalf. Right, Henry Wilson at Trade Street Pharmacy. I just wanted... Oh, it is? Okay. That's what I thought. And you did say 3 times. That was Dr. Metcalf, prescribing new medicine for Mrs. Osborne. Last year, there wasn't too much help for the poor old lady. But now, well, medical science says she may live another 84 years. Well, maybe not that long, but she does have a good many happy years ahead of her. We try to stay up with our education in pharmacy. And in that effort, we attend seminars, read the journals, talk to local doctors, and go to classes. And we like to share it with you. Have you seen our signs over here? This one has to do with high blood pressure. Doctors call it hypertension. It is one of the most common diseases affecting our hearts and blood vessels.
Say, Mr. Wilson, don't most of the old folks affected by high blood pressure simply get checked routinely when visiting their doctor? That's what my grandfather does.
How are you, Phil? Getting all A's in school?
I think I'd rather talk about your new signs. Have you got Mom's refill?
High blood pressure doesn't affect just people your grandfather's age, Phil. Actually, it's the original non-discriminator. It doesn't care if you're male or female, black or white, young or old.
I was wondering, just how bad is it if you've got high blood pressure?
I call it the chronic insidious disease. In most cases, people who have high blood pressure don't have the symptoms at the beginning. But if it isn't checked, it can lead to a stroke, kidney disease, or heart failure. But it's seldom that the disease gets to the point where it can't be controlled.
Oh, yeah? I saw what happened to Mrs. Moore last March when she had her stroke. She's only my mom's age.
That was tragic. And it's a shame more people don't get their blood pressure checked regularly. Sam Moore told me Mrs. Moore hadn't been to the family physician in almost 3 years. Actually, a doctor might have detected high blood pressure if it had been checked.
You'd think she'd have felt bad or something before her stroke.
Here's your prescription, Phil. Want to charge it? Felt something? Not really. Some 23 million American adults have high blood pressure, and only half of them know it. I bet you those folks would tell you they feel pretty good. Supposing you noticed that you had the symptoms of high blood pressure. By then, it may be advanced.
You think everyone should have their blood pressure checked, don't you?
Yes, everyone should. We have a screening program going on down at the Women's Club on 4th Street next week. Some of us have volunteered to go down and help Dr. Baldwin. Say, maybe you and the family would like to come down. Or call your family doctor. Who is your family doctor?
Dr. Pryor.
Oh, yes. Or you can call the Heart Association. I have the number right here.
Well, listen, I gotta run. Mom will be looking for this. See you soon, Mr. Wilson. I won't forget what you said.
Someone once described high blood pressure as a time bomb in the body. Unlike other serious diseases, you can have it for years and not notice the symptoms. The first sign could be a heart attack or a stroke. In the overwhelming majority of people who have had high blood pressure, the physical causes are unknown. Heredity is involved, but it isn't known to what extent. Other factors being studied include the environment, salt intake, obesity, water, stress.
Could you hold the phone just a minute? Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
I was talking to Mrs. Patterson about one prescription, and I noticed on her records that she hasn't had a refill for her high blood pressure in over 6 months. I reminded her, but she says she feels too well to be bothered.
Well, go ahead with the original order, and I'll call the family physician.
Okay.
Steve Blake, isn't it?
Yeah. Mrs. Patterson, that'll be ready about 6 o'clock.
Dr. Blake, please. This is Henry Wilson at Trade Street Pharmacy. You know, real progress has been made in drug treatment for most types of hypertension. Blood pressure can be kept down, enlarged hearts can be returned to normal size, and strokes happen with less frequency. But you must take your medicine, even if you're feeling great. And when... Hello, Steve. Hi, how are you? Fine. Oh, she's great, too, thank you. I was calling you about your patient, Sylvia Patterson. No, it had to do with that prescription on hypertension you gave her a few months back. Well, we were going over our card index file here and noticed that she hadn't been taking that diuretic you recommended. No, it's just that, well, she's feeling fine, doesn't feel she needs it. Uh-huh. Well, will you speak to her then? Okay, thanks a lot, Steve. Right. Bye-bye.
Here, charge it.
Okay, Ed?
You know, Henry, I'd rather take my chances than go on drugs for high blood pressure for the rest of my life. Now, what's this all about anyway? You trying to scare me?
No, we're just trying to take good care of our customers. Wipe off your bifocals, Ed. Take a look at this.
Why, the fuss? I might leave here and be in an accident. Then you could kiss all this high blood pressure stuff goodbye.
Ed, more people die from high blood pressure, 5 times more than die in automobile accidents. And at your age, Ed, I think you better take every precaution. What is your blood pressure?
130/80. See, I wrote it down.
Mm-hmm. And it says here in these books from the Heart Association, doctors might put patients on special diets.
Take a look at this one. It says, your doctor might tell you to quit smoking.
Mm-hmm. And here's one written especially for you, Ed. It says, some doctors prescribe rest and relaxation for their patients.
I think I'll take that advice at once. When I wake up next week, I'll look this over. See you later, Henry.
Okay, Ed. Do you know why Ed knows what his blood pressure is? Because just a few weeks ago, we set up a screening program down at the Women's Club. And Ed, well, he had his blood pressure checked. Strictly routine. Ed's blood pressure was higher than average. He was also overweight. Heavy people get high blood pressure more often than people who are not. So our screening physician directed Ed to see his regular doctor and have more tests taken with the treatment his doctor prescribed and with regular checkups. Ed soon had his blood pressure under control.
So what if my blood pressure is higher than it was last year? I'm 50 years of age. What do you expect? After all, the older I get, the higher my blood pressure goes, right?
But we had to tell the man that an elevated blood pressure with advancing years is not normal. Something can be done about it, and should. We later discovered that the same businessman was working more than 60 hours a week. The man's physician suggested a new regimen of exercise and fewer working hours, which helped bring his blood pressure down.
I'm just giving you some statistics, Mrs. Simpson. Your blood pressure is too high. High blood pressure is more frequent among black people and usually more severe. In fact, high blood pressure probably kills more blacks than any other disease. The reasons are unknown. That's not bigotry. That's medical fact.
There is much that is unknown about high blood pressure. Why do people who come from one area of the country have more strokes than those from another area? And why do older women have more high blood pressure than older men? And why do people who have a diet high in salt become more susceptible to high blood pressure? Well, medical research, now underway, will eventually give us the causes for high blood pressure. We already know how to control it. We must get our blood pressure checked routinely and regularly. It's the only way to know for sure if we have high blood pressure. It's quick, easy, and painless. The woman under 40 usually has slightly lower blood pressure than the man, but high blood pressure can be a common complication of pregnancy. It's important for both the mother and her developing baby that her blood pressure remain in the normal range as pregnancy progresses. A person who has close relatives with high blood pressure has a higher risk of developing it.
Mom, look at this one. This might work out for you. Oh, Craig, look what you've done. I'm going to have to pay for that. You wait until I tell your father.
Hey, that's all right, Mrs. Abernathy.
Oh,
I'll have
so
this cleaned up in a
sorry.
minute.
Oh, Craig, why
Hey,
did you do that?
Don't worry.
Oh, brother.
When you're angry or fearful, blood pressure goes up, and that's normal. But after the anger and fear pass, blood pressure should return to its normal lower level. Brief periods of high blood pressure don't do any damage at all. But prolonged periods of elevated blood pressure, well, they can cause some damage to the heart, arteries, brain, and kidneys. I would advise anyone who thinks they might have high blood pressure or who hasn't had their blood pressure checked recently.
Mr. Wilson,
Yes?
when was the last time you had your blood pressure checked?
Gosh, I'm not sure. Well, it's been almost a year.
Well, here, come on, let me take it for you, okay?
Okay, good idea.
Okay, you get your sleeve up.
Here, I'll help you with that. Here we go.
Okay, thanks.
Hope you don't find anything. It was sure normal last time.
Have you heard the news? Elsie Mitchell just broke up with that nice young man she married. It was a terrible scene, I guess, because she...
His father thought he could buy the Eiffel Tower.
He was going to make a tourist attraction out of it by placing it smack in the middle of the Mojave Desert.
Which, of course, proves my original point. If the politicians want to cut lawlessness in this city, they should legalize crime. Well, I can see the day when it's going to be...
Frogs will rule the world. It was the most frightening movie I ever saw. And when it was over...
Elsie Mitchell and that nice young man are finally back together again.
Relax, Mr. Wilson. Your blood pressure's fine.